Welcome to Read and Learn English, the best place to enjoy exciting stories and improve your English. Today we begin a special journey, a simple English version of The Maze Runner, a famous science fiction story written by James Dashner. This version is perfect for two English learners. We use short sentences, easy words, and clear grammar to help you read and understand everything. In this story, a boy named Thomas wakes up in a strange place called the Glade. He has no memories of his past. All around him is a giant maze, and he is not alone. Other boys live there too, and they are trying to survive. Every day, they run through the maze, looking for a way out. But the maze is dangerous. It changes, and at night, monsters come out. When a mysterious girl arrives with a strange message, everything begins to change. Can Thomas solve the maze? Can he escape? And what is the truth behind this strange world? Get ready for action, mystery, and a little bit of fear. This is The Maze Runner, rewritten just for you, clear, simple, and exciting. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Box. Thomas woke up in the dark. He did not know where he was. Everything was black. He felt cold metal under his back. He was lying in a box. The box was moving up, like an elevator. It shook and made loud noises. He sat up. His hands touched cold walls. He tried to remember his name. At first he couldn't. Then, slowly, it came to him. "My name is Thomas," he said out loud. But that was all he knew. He did not remember anything else. No family, no home, nothing. The box kept moving. Time passed, but Thomas didn't know how long. Minutes? Hours? Then the box stopped. Silence. For a moment, everything was quiet. Suddenly, bright light came from above. The top of the box opened. Thomas looked up and saw faces. Boys. Many boys looked down at him. "Look, it's a new one," someone said. "Fresh meat," another boy shouted. The boys laughed. They threw a rope down. Thomas climbed out. His eyes hurt from the light. He stood in the sun and looked around. He was in a big square space with tall stone walls. The walls were as high as a building. Grass and trees were in the middle. It looked like a small farm or garden. Chickens ran around. There were some wooden houses and people working. "Welcome to the Glade," a boy said. He had short blonde hair and blue eyes. "I'm Newt." "What is this place?" Thomas asked. His voice shook. "You'll find out. For now, just stay calm. We all came here the same way," Newt said. Thomas looked at the boys. They were all between 12 and 17 years old. Some worked in the fields. Others built things or cooked food. Everyone was busy. One boy walked toward him. He had a friendly smile. "Hi, Greenie," he said. "That's what we call new people. My name's Chuck." Thomas felt a little better. Chuck seemed nice. He followed Chuck to a small hut. "You can sleep here tonight," Chuck said. "Tomorrow we'll show you around." Thomas sat down on the bed. So many questions filled his mind. Where was he? Why was he here? Who were these boys? But he was too tired to ask more. He closed his eyes and slept. Chapter 2. The Glade. The next morning, Thomas woke up early. The sun was already shining. Chuck stood at the door with a big smile. "Time for a tour," Chuck said. They walked around the glade. Chuck showed Thomas the garden, the animals, the kitchen, and the sleeping huts. Everyone had a job. "We all work here," Chuck explained. "Some boys grow food, some cook, some clean, some are runners." "Runners?" Thomas asked. Chuck pointed to a huge stone wall. In the middle was a tall opening, like a door. "That's the maze," he said. "The runners go inside every day." "What's inside the maze?" "No one knows. It changes every night. The runners try to map it. They look for a way out." Thomas stared at the door. It looked dark and scary. "What happens at night?" "The doors close," Chuck said, "and you don't want to be outside then." "Why not?" "There are monsters in the maze," Chuck said. "We call them grievers. If they catch you, you die." Thomas felt cold inside. This place was more than strange. It was dangerous. Later, Newt came and gave Thomas a job. "You'll help the builders today," he said. "Try different jobs. Find what you're good at." Thomas worked hard. He carried wood and tools. He asked many questions, but no one had clear answers. Everyone said the same thing. "We don't know why we're here. We just survive." At the end of the day, Thomas sat with Chuck by a small fire. "I don't like it here," Thomas said. "I want to go home." "We all do," Chuck said. "But first, we have to escape the maze." Thomas looked at the maze wall again. Something inside him said he needed to go in there. He didn't know why, but he wanted to be a runner. Chapter 3. New Rules. Thomas spent his second day learning the rules of the Glade. Albie, the leader of the boys, gave him a tour. "There are 3 rules," Albie said. 1. Do your job. 2. Don't hurt anyone. 3. Never go into the maze alone. Thomas nodded. "Why can't we go in alone?" "Because it's dangerous," Albie said. "The maze is always changing, and the grievers come out at night." Thomas wanted to ask more, but Albie stopped him. "You'll learn. Just follow the rules." That afternoon, Thomas watched the maze doors. They were open now. 2 boys ran out wearing light clothes and carrying bags. "Those are the runners," Chuck said. "They map the maze." "How long do they stay inside?" "Until sunset. The doors close at night." Thomas watched the runners go into the maze. His heart beat fast. He felt a strong pull. He didn't understand it, but he wanted to run with them. Later, a boy named Ben acted strange. His eyes were wild, and he looked sick. "He went through the changing," Chuck whispered. "What's that?" "When someone gets stung by a griever, they live, but it changes them." Ben ran at Thomas, screaming, "You don't belong here, they sent you." Newt and Albie pulled him away. "He's not right in the head," Newt said. That night Thomas couldn't sleep. He thought about the maze, the runners, and Ben's words. He felt something deep inside, a memory, maybe. But it was too dark to see clearly. One thing was sure, he had to find the truth. Chapter 4. Strange Creatures. The next morning the sky was gray. Thomas felt nervous. He still thought about Ben and his angry words. What did Ben mean? Why did he say, "They sent you"? Thomas walked to the maze doors. He saw the runners come back. One of them was tall with dark skin. His name was Minho. He looked tired but strong. Albie met them. "Did you find anything new?" he asked. Minho shook his head. "Just the same walls." The maze changed again. Thomas wanted to ask questions, but he stayed quiet. Then he heard something strange. A loud metal sound came from behind the walls. "What was that?" he asked Chuck. Chuck looked scared. "A griever." Thomas turned pale. "Is it close?" "No, but it's in the maze. We're safe in the Glade. The walls protect us." Thomas wanted to see a griever, but he also felt scared. What kind of monster was it? He imagined a big, dark creature with claws and sharp teeth. Later, Newt showed Thomas the old maps. Each runner makes a map after his run. We keep them all here. But why hasn't anyone found the way out? Thomas asked. Newt shook his head. The maze moves. Every night, it changes. The walls move. The paths close and open. Thomas looked at the papers. They were full of lines, shapes, and notes. It looked like a big puzzle. He pointed to one map. "Can I help?" Newt smiled. "You want to be a runner?" Thomas nodded. "Yes. I feel like it's what I'm meant to do." Newt looked serious. "It's not easy. People die in the maze. Think hard before you choose." That night, Thomas lay in bed. He couldn't stop thinking about the maze. He wanted to remember his past. He wanted answers, and he knew the maze was the only place to find them. Chapter 5. The Maze. The next day was quiet. Thomas worked with the farmers, but his mind was on the maze. He watched the doors all the time. He waited for the runners to return. Suddenly, everyone shouted. A runner was missing. Only one boy came back. "It's Minho!" someone cried. "Where's Albie?" Minho ran into the glade. "He got stung by a griever. I gave him the serum, but we have to get him out." The sun was going down. The doors to the maze would close soon. Newt ran to help, but he hurt his leg. He looked at Thomas. "Go. Help them." Thomas didn't think. He ran into the maze. Chuck shouted behind him, "No! You can't go in!" But it was too late. The doors started to close. Thomas ran faster and just made it through. The doors slammed shut behind him. Thomas stood in the maze. It was dark. He saw Minho and Albie lying on the ground. "You idiot!" Minho yelled. "Now we're all trapped!" Thomas looked around. The maze walls were high and cold. The sky turned black. Minho stood up. "We can't carry Albie and run. The grievers will come." "We can't leave him," Thomas said. Minho looked scared. "You don't understand. The grievers come every night." Suddenly they heard a loud sound, metal scraping stone. A griever. Thomas saw a shape moving in the dark. The creature was big and ugly. It had legs, wheels, and long metal arms. Minho ran away. Thomas stayed. He pulled Albie to safety behind a wall. He found some vines and tied Albie up high so the griever couldn't reach him. The creature came closer. Thomas grabbed a stick. He was scared but ready to fight. The griever attacked. Thomas ran and jumped. He led the creature away from Albie. He tricked it and made it fall into a hole in the wall. Silence. The griever was gone. Minho returned, out of breath. "How did you do that?" "I don't know," Thomas said. "It just happened." "You're crazy, but you're also smart," Minho said. They looked at each other. The night was not over, but they had hope. Chapter 6. Runner Boys. Thomas, Minho, and Albie waited for the sun. When the maze doors opened, they carried Albie back to the glade. Everyone watched in shock. Thomas had survived the night. No one had done that before. Newt ran to them. "You're alive!" Thomas was tired and dirty. "We made it." Albie was sick but alive. They gave him the serum. He would go through the changing now. Minho spoke to the others. "Thomas saved us." He fought a griever and won. The boys cheered. But Gally, a tough boy, looked angry. "He broke the rules," he said. "He should be punished." Newt stepped in. He also saved 2 lives. "Let's wait." Later, Newt talked to Thomas alone. "You're brave. But now things will change." "What do you mean?" "People are scared. No one has ever fought a griever. You did. That makes you different. Thomas wanted to help more. Let me be a runner. Newt smiled. Maybe. We'll test you soon. That night, Thomas sat with Chuck. I feel like I belong here, he said, like I've been here before. Chuck nodded. Me too. But I still want to go home. Thomas looked at the maze. We'll find a way out. Chapter 7. Ben's Attack. Albie was very sick. He had taken the serum and now he was going through the changing. He screamed in pain and moved wildly in his bed. Thomas watched from far away. He felt bad. What was the changing? Why did it hurt so much? Chuck stood beside him. Everyone who gets stung by a griever goes through this. Does it help them remember the past? Thomas asked. Sometimes, Chuck said, but they don't talk about it. Later that day, Thomas walked near the forest alone. The trees were tall and the ground was soft. It was peaceful until he heard a noise behind him. Thomas turned around. Ben stood there, but Ben was supposed to be locked up. After he attacked Thomas, the keepers had taken him away. Now he was free, and his face looked sick. His eyes were red. He held a sharp knife in his hand. You don't belong here, Ben said. His voice was cold and angry. You're one of them. Thomas backed away. What are you talking about? Ben walked closer. You were sent here to destroy us. No, I don't remember anything, Thomas shouted. Ben raised the knife. Liar. Thomas ran. He moved fast between the trees. He shouted for help. Suddenly, Newt and another boy appeared. They jumped on Ben and pulled him away. The knife fell to the ground. He's gone mad, Newt said. The changing messed up his mind. The next morning, the boys held a meeting in the main square. Albie stood in the middle, weak but awake. His eyes looked strange, as if he had seen something terrible. We must protect the Glade, Albie said. Ben broke the rules. He attacked another Glader. He must be punished. Newt and the others agreed. They took Ben to the box, the same one that brought new people. But this time, they sent him down. No one knew where the box went after that. Thomas felt sick. He didn't want Ben to die, but Ben had tried to kill him. Chuck walked beside him. Don't feel bad. We follow the rules to stay safe. Thomas looked up at the maze. The walls were tall and silent. He didn't feel safe. Not at all. Chapter 8. The Girl. The next day was hot and quiet. The boys worked in the garden and the kitchen. Thomas helped the builders. He tried not to think about Ben. Then the alarm rang. Someone's in the box, a boy shouted. Everyone ran to the lift, but it was strange. No new Glader was supposed to come. Only one person came each month, and Thomas had arrived just a few days ago. Newt opened the doors. The boys looked down. Inside was a girl. Everyone froze. No girl had ever come to the Glade before. She looked about 16. She had dark hair and pale skin. She lay still with her eyes closed. In her hand, she held a small piece of paper. Albie climbed down and carried her out. She's alive, he said, but just barely. The boys stood in a circle, staring at her. No one spoke. Suddenly, the girl's eyes opened. Everything will change, she whispered. Then she closed her eyes again. Thomas stepped back. Her voice sounded familiar, but he didn't know why. They carried the girl to the medical hut. She didn't wake up again that day. The paper in her hand had one sentence. She is the last one. Ever. What does that mean? Chuck asked. Newt looked worried. It means no more people are coming. But why? Thomas asked. No one answered. Chapter 9. A note in her hand. The news spread fast. No more people were coming. The Gladers were scared. Some boys thought the maze was the end. Others thought it was the beginning. Thomas visited the girl in the medical hut. She was still sleeping. She looked peaceful, but her face was pale. He looked at her closely. Something about her felt familiar. Her voice, her face, it pulled at his memory. Chuck came in. "They say she brought a message," he whispered. "I saw it," Thomas said. "She's the last one. Ever." "What do you think that means?" "I don't know, but I think she's connected to me." "Do you remember her?" Thomas shook his head. "Not clearly, but I feel something." Outside, Albie and Newt met with the keepers. They talked in low voices. That evening, Newt called everyone together. "From now on, things will be different," he said. "No more new people. No more supplies. The box is not working." "Then how will we eat?" someone shouted. "We'll use what we have. We'll survive." Thomas raised his hand. "Can I help? Can I train to be a runner?" Newt looked at him. "Minho will take you tomorrow. One test run." Thomas nodded. He was ready. That night, he sat outside the hut and looked at the stars. The glade was quiet, but his mind was full of questions. Who was the girl? Why did she look so familiar? And why did he feel like everything was about to change? Chapter 10. Thomas in the Maze. The next morning, the sky was bright. Thomas stood at the maze door. He felt nervous but excited. Minho came and smiled. "Ready for your first run?" Thomas nodded. "I want to help." Minho gave Thomas a small bag. "Water, paper, pen, write everything you see." The doors opened. The maze looked tall and cold. "Stay close," Minho said. Then he ran fast. Thomas followed. The stone walls were huge. The path twisted and turned. Minho stopped often to check directions and make notes. "The maze changes every night," Minho said. "We try to map it, but it's hard." They ran for hours. Thomas felt tired, but he didn't stop. He looked at the walls. He saw marks and symbols. "What are these?" he asked. "Old scratches. Maybe from other runners, or grievers." Thomas shivered. "Have you seen one today?" "No, but they're out here. Always." At one corner, they found something strange, a small hole in the wall. Minho looked inside. "Nothing, but it's new. I've never seen it before." Thomas made a note. "Maybe it's important." Later, they stopped to drink water. Thomas asked, "How did you become a runner?" Minho smiled. "I was fast, and not afraid." "I want to be like that," Thomas said. "You did well today," Minho said. "Come on, let's go back before the doors close." They ran toward the glade. Thomas felt proud. He had faced the maze. He had learned something new. Chapter 11. A Night Outside. The next day, something terrible happened. Two builders were fighting. One boy hit the other with a shovel. The boy fell and broke his leg. Newt and Albie stopped the fight. "What's wrong with everyone?" Albie shouted. "We follow rules to stay safe." Later, Minho ran into the glade, shouting, "Come quick! I found something." Everyone followed him to the maze doors. Minho pointed to a wall. "There's a new door," he said. "It wasn't there before." The boys looked. A small metal door was in the stone wall. It had numbers and lights on it. Thomas touched it. It felt cold. "What is it?" Newt asked. "No idea," Minho said. It didn't open. They waited, but nothing happened. At sunset, the door closed by itself. No one touched it. That night, the girl in the medical hut woke up. She opened her eyes and sat up fast. "Thomas," she said. Thomas heard her voice and ran to her. "Do you know me?" he asked. She looked at him and nodded. "Yes." "I remember you." Thomas froze. "How? Who are you?" "My name is Teresa," she said. "We worked together before." "Where?" "I don't know. But we sent the others here. We were part of it." Thomas stepped back. "Part of what?" "I don't know everything. But something is wrong. Very wrong." Suddenly, Teresa closed her eyes again and fell back asleep. Thomas didn't know what to think. His head was full of questions. Chapter 12: A New Door. The next morning, the maze doors didn't close. The Gladers panicked. "What's happening? The walls always close at night." But now they stayed open. The maze was open to the Glade. The grievers could come in. Newt looked at the sky. "Something is changing." Chuck ran to Thomas. "We're not safe anymore." That night, the boys placed guards at the doors. They held sticks and sharp tools. Minho stood with Thomas. "If a griever comes, run to the woods." "I won't run," Thomas said. Suddenly, a loud sound filled the air, metal scraping stone. A griever rolled into the glade. The boys screamed and ran. The griever moved fast. Its metal arms reached out. Thomas threw a rock. It hit the griever, but nothing happened. Newt shouted, "Get away!" But the griever caught one boy and pulled him into the maze. Then it rolled away into the dark. Silence. The boys looked at each other. One Glader was gone. "We can't live like this," Albie said. "We need to find a way out." Thomas looked at the maze. "The door we saw. Maybe it's the exit." Minho nodded. "We should study it again. Try to open it." That night, Thomas sat with Chuck. "I feel like time is running out," Thomas said. "Me too," Chuck said. "But I believe in you." Thomas made a promise. "I'll find a way. I have to." He looked at the maze. It was dark and dangerous, but he was ready. Chapter 13: The Changing. The next day, the Gladers were still scared. The maze doors had not closed again. Grievers could come in at any time. Thomas couldn't stop thinking about the griever that took a boy last night. He felt guilty and angry. Newt called a meeting. "We need answers. We need to understand the maze, and we need to find out what Thomas and the girl know." Thomas stood up. "I don't remember anything, but I want to help." Albie looked at him. "Maybe you don't remember, but you're part of this. The girl said your name. You both came close together. That's never happened before." Later that day, Albie said he would go into the maze with Minho. "We must study the new door again." Thomas wanted to go too, but Albie said no. While Albie and Minho were away, Teresa woke up again. She sat up in bed and looked around. Thomas went to her. "Are you okay?" Teresa nodded. "I remember small things. I remember we worked for the people who made the maze." "What else?" "They made us forget. But I think the changing can bring back memories." Thomas looked at her. "What's the changing?" "When a person gets stung by a griever and takes the serum," she said, "they see things. Some remember their old life." Just then, Minho came running back alone. "Albie got stung." The boys carried Albie to the medical hut. He looked sick and weak. His skin was pale and his eyes were wide. Newt gave him the serum. Albie started the changing. He screamed. He shook. He cried. All the boys watched in fear. Thomas felt sick. The changing looked painful. Later that night, Thomas sat with Teresa. Did the changing hurt? Yes, she said, but it showed me the truth. We were part of something big, something bad. Chapter 14, Secrets and Lies. The next morning, Albie woke up. He looked tired and afraid. Newt sat next to him. Do you remember anything? Albie nodded slowly. I saw things. I saw our world. It's not like this place. Thomas leaned in. What did you see? Fire. Storms. People dying. The world outside is broken. The boys were silent. No one knew what to say. Why are we here? Thomas asked. Albie looked at him. You know, you were one of the people who sent us here. Thomas froze. That's not true. You don't remember. But I saw you in my changing. You wore white clothes. You worked with the people who built the maze. Thomas felt like the ground moved under his feet. Newt stepped in. Even if Thomas was part of it, he's one of us now. That afternoon, Teresa walked into the middle of the glade. She held her head and cried out. They're watching us, she shouted. They're controlling everything. The boys stood around her. Some were scared. Others were angry. She's crazy, one boy yelled. No, Teresa said. They're testing us, like animals in a box. Thomas helped her sit down. Who is watching us? I don't know. But they want to see what we do. They want to see if we can escape. Newt looked at Minho and Thomas. Then we have to try. Minho nodded. The maze has a pattern. We can break it. Chapter 15. The Plan. That evening, the Gladers met in the map room. Minho showed a big paper map. We keep track of the maze every day. I looked at the last 2 weeks. Something is changing. He pointed at the lines. The paths move, but they repeat. It's a code. Thomas leaned closer. A code? Yes, a word code. The maze is spelling something. Everyone was quiet. Chuck said, So the maze is not just a prison. It's giving us a message. Minho nodded. We just need to finish the message. Then maybe we'll know how to escape. Thomas looked at Teresa. Can you help? I think so, she said. The words feel familiar. Newt stood. Good. But we must be fast. The doors are staying open. More grievers will come. That night, another boy was taken. The Gladers were sad and angry. We can't wait any more, Minho said. We make a plan. We go into the maze and find the last pieces of the code. Thomas said, Then we use it. We fight back. Newt nodded. Tomorrow, we move. Thomas felt scared, but also strong. They had a plan. They had hope. And now, they would fight. Chapter 16. Escape. The Gladers worked hard the next morning. Minho, Newt, Thomas, Teresa, and Chuck met in the map room. Minho pointed to the map. We have all the maze patterns. Each section gives a letter. Together, they spell something. What's the message? Thomas asked. Teresa showed the letters. FLOAT, catch, bleed, death, stiff, push. What does that mean? Chuck asked. It's a code, Teresa said. A password, maybe for the metal door we found. Thomas stood up. Then we need to go into the maze. Tonight, we find the door and use the code. Newt looked worried. It's too dangerous. The grievers are always there. Minho nodded. Yes, but this is our only chance. Albie stepped forward. We'll help. Some boys will fight the grievers to give you time. Thomas looked at everyone. Thank you. We'll find a way out. That night, the Gladers got ready. Thomas, Teresa, and Chuck carried bags with food and water. Minho held the map. Albie and Newt picked boys to guard the glade. Are you ready? Minho asked. Yes, Thomas said. Let's do this. They ran into the maze. Chapter 17, The Last Run. The maze was dark and quiet, but everyone knew the grievers were close. Thomas, Teresa, and Chuck followed Minho through the paths. They turned left, then right, then left again. Finally, they reached the secret metal door. It had buttons, lights, and a screen. Teresa stepped forward. I'll type the code. Suddenly, they heard a loud noise. Grievers. They found us, Chuck shouted. Minho pulled out a sharp stick. Defend yourselves! One griever rolled forward. Its arms reached for Teresa. Thomas jumped in front and hit it with the stick. Sparks flew. The griever screamed. Keep typing, Teresa, he shouted. Another griever attacked Chuck. Thomas ran to help. He pulled Chuck away just in time. Almost done, Teresa said. One more word. A griever grabbed Thomas's leg. He kicked hard. Chuck, help! Chuck threw a rock. It hit the griever's eye. The creature backed away. Teresa shouted, Last word, push! She pressed a green button. The door clicked. It opened. Get inside! Minho shouted. They all ran through the door. Thomas turned around and saw the grievers stop. They didn't follow. The door closed. Silence. They were inside a long hallway with white walls. Lights turned on. We did it, Teresa said. We're out of the maze. Chapter 18. Out of the Maze. The hallway led to a large room with screens and chairs. A woman sat behind a glass window. She wore white clothes and looked tired. Welcome, she said. Who are you? Thomas asked. I'm part of Wicked, the woman said. You passed the test. What test? Teresa shouted. We needed to study your minds and we built the maze to see how smart and brave you are. The world outside is in trouble. We need strong people. Thomas stepped forward. You watched us suffer. You let people die. The woman looked sad. It was hard, but we must find a way to save the world. Suddenly, the lights turned off. Loud bangs echoed. Get down! Someone shouted. Armed people broke into the room. They wore black and had guns. They grabbed the woman. Come with us if you want to live, one man said. The Gladers followed them out a back door. They got into a big bus. Rain poured outside. Lightning flashed. Where are we going? Chuck asked. A safe place, the man said. You're free now. Thomas sat next to Teresa. He held her hand. We made it, she whispered. Thomas looked out the window. The world outside was gray and broken. Buildings were damaged. Trees were dead. But he felt hope. They had escaped. They had survived. Now, a new life would begin. Chapter 19. The Real World. The bus drove for hours through a broken world. Outside the windows, Thomas saw dry land, empty houses, and gray skies. The sun was hot. The air looked dirty. This is Earth now, the man in black said. After the flare, Chuck asked, What's the flare? It's a sickness. It makes people go crazy, the man said. Most of the world is gone. Thomas felt cold inside. Why were we in the maze? To test your brains, the man said. Wicked thinks some people are immune. They want to find a cure. Teresa looked angry. So they used us like rats? Yes, the man said. They believe the tests are important, but I don't agree. That's why we rescued you. The bus stopped at a small building. The Gladers went inside. It was simple, but clean. There were beds, food, and bathrooms. Rest here, the man said. You are safe for now. That night, Thomas lay in bed thinking about everything: the maze, the grievers, the code, Teresa, Chuck. He remembered the people they lost. He remembered how they fought. Teresa sat on the bed next to him. "Do you think it's really over?" "I don't know," Thomas said. "But at least we're free now." They sat together in silence, looking out the window. The stars were bright. For the first time in a long while, Thomas felt peace. Chapter 20. What comes next? The next morning, the Gladers had breakfast. Real food. Bread, fruit, eggs. Chuck ate 4 pieces of toast. "I never want to eat maize food again," he joked. Everyone laughed. It felt good. Later, a woman came to speak to them. She wore a long coat and had a kind face. "My name is Dr. Mary Cooper. I'm from a group that fights wicked." "We saved you." Newt asked. "What will happen to us now?" "You'll stay here for a while," Dr. Cooper said. "Then we'll move you to a safer place." Thomas asked, "Are we really immune to the flare?" "Some of you are," she said. "That's why Wicked chose you. But they still want you back." "Will they find us?" Teresa asked. "We hope not," Dr. Cooper said. "But they're powerful." That night, Thomas couldn't sleep. He walked outside. The air was warm. He looked up at the sky. Teresa came out and stood next to him. "I remember something," she said quietly. "Before the maze." "What is it?" "We promised to help. You and me. We wanted to save people." Thomas was quiet. "Do you still want that?" "Yes," she said. "But not Wicked's way." He nodded. "Then we do it our way. We help the world, free." Suddenly, an alarm rang in the building. Red lights flashed. People shouted. Thomas and Teresa ran inside. Dr. Cooper met them. "Wicked knows where you are. You have to run." The Gladers grabbed bags and ran to the bus. Minho shouted, "This isn't over!" Thomas looked at the others. "We're not going back, ever!" The bus started moving again, into the unknown. Outside, the sun was rising. A new day had begun. A new fight was waiting. But Thomas felt ready. Thanks for watching this chapter of The Maze Runner on Read and Learn English. I hope you enjoyed the story and learned some new English along the way. Remember, the best way to improve your English is to read, listen, and practice a little every day. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss the next chapter. Share this with your friends who are also learning English. And let's grow together. See you in the next chapter. Keep reading. Keep learning. Keep going. This is Read and Learn English, where great stories help you speak better English.